you sound great. Okay, we're here to celebrate. You had a book birthday. I'm sure you know.
I do know, though actually, I do feel like the hype or just like the prep for this book has been going on for a little while, which is really, really cool. So on the 20th, I had to properly several times sit down and be like, oh, it's out today. For me, it's been done for almost a year, and I started writing it 2 years ago in May. So it's been a long journey from there to here. So, but it was really cool to realize, oh wait, it's finally out. It's out in the world, out of my hands, all those things.
It's out in the world, and we're not going to discuss them this evening, but you get to do like spoilers soon with people, which I feel like has to be fun.
I never know though, because okay, I feel like I constantly am going to spoil my own books. I never do, but you get new, like I do think there will be some new readers to the Shepherdkin duology because they hadn't heard of me when The Night the Moth comes out. So like you're always getting new readers, and there has to be some sort of like statute of limitation when it comes to spoilers. I should be able to say them, but I don't know what it is, and then I always feel bad.
You haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do inevitably spoil the Shepherdkin duology all the time. I talk about Two Twisted Crowns at the end, and there's some people in the audience who are like, but you know, I try not to.
We were, the other day, I forget what author that we were at, we were talking about the 90s movie The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. And I was discussing that I didn't know until, like, I saw it during COVID for the first time ever, and I didn't know that it doesn't really end that happily. Like, they're not...
Spoiler alert for everyone.
This is what happened. No, this is what I'm saying. I feel that, guys, that is the statute of limitations. Like, if you have not seen it, like, that is on you.
Yeah.
Or somebody there, and I was like, comic grasp, and I was like, okay, that's... And also, I think if you wait 6 months, you'll probably forget it, and then you can watch it, and you won't even know. That's how I feel.
It's a great movie. I couldn't tell you what happens in it, though.
We're already into this, of like, how did you develop them as characters, and like, what do you know about them when they're just like in your head versus when you start to put them on page?
Yeah, this is a good, like, just talk about my process in general. I am kind of chaotic.
Wait on the face that you made.
I always say, because like I do not plot out a lot of my books. I am an organized pantser. I say that right by the seat of my pants, but there are aspects that I do have to know before I begin, and characters are one of them. So I knew Sybil would be our main character. I knew basically what her role in the world would be as the diviner. I had to kind of like plot out the magic system because that's affected. So yes, before I sit down and write anything, I have to know about magic system. In this book, I do like a hard magic system, which means tangible objects. And then my characters, it's not that big of a cast of characters, so it is easy for me to like, I name them all, I kind of understand where their starting point is, where their ending point is, not just geographically, but you know, their character arc. And I have to orient myself within the story. There's a little map, which obviously I'm not going to be able to find out how to get to it, but I drew the finished product is far better. I mean, also, you guys all have copies anyways. I don't even I'm struggling. But I have to orient myself in the world, and this is different from my previous books, which I did on purpose. I made them very insular. There's mist. You don't really have, it's supposed to be a disorienting space, so you don't have a sense of the world. I wanted to do that. I highlight the cards. But anyway, in this one, I drew the map so that I know where everyone's going. So yes, characters to go back. For Sybil particularly, this doesn't always happen with all my characters. I get asked a lot if you have like a real life person to reference them, and often I don't, to be honest. But for Sybil and Rory, I knew who like physically they kind of like they had that same air of, and so for Sybil, and this is helpful for me too because I draw my characters. So Sybil, it's Aurora, the singer, and Rory is, they're both singers. Rory's Tamino, and just like the idea of the eyeliner and the earrings, I was like, well, when you write fantasy and you really want something to go into it, you can. So I'm like, did the knight need to have earrings? No, but he does now.
But they were really nice.
with all this information that I collect prior to drafting, it does help ground me in the story a little bit, which is necessary before I kind of take off. So this is first person point of view from Sybil's first person, and I made that decision because as this diviner on the tour, which is a hill, the cathedral on the tour, she does have a very limited worldview. And I immediately thought that would be a great tool for exploring the world. Like, we are going on the journey with her. It is very helpful for her to have almost this like essential naivete. She doesn't see herself as naive. She sees herself as very, self-righteous. She is correct in her belief. She has bias against other things. But for her to go on the journey, it really is literally and figuratively pulling this veil that's over her eyes. And so that's why I definitely want her to be the main point of view, so we can all experience it with her.
I love her so much. She does go on a real journey. Also, I'm very sorry that I spilled water all over myself.
Oh, did you?
It's already dried. Yeah, you did a really great job. The front row for sure saw it happen. They for sure saw it happen as I just exploded water everywhere. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of perfect because she drowns. I was like, this is just really on theme. Okay, you brought him up in Angel as Sybil's kind of discovering more of it, because she is carrying a naivete into the story. So how do you go about world building, and then how do you keep track of it? Like, you're writing book 2 right now, how do you maintain consistency?
The map is very, very helpful. And it's not a detailed map. It's just that the places in and of itself, the world in The Night and the Moth takes place in a land called Trom, and Trom has been kind of sectioned off into 5 hamlets that make up the Stonewater Kingdom. And so I've outed myself at every event, so I have to do it now. I'm a big Zelda Ocarina of Time fan. I mean, it was very, very important in my formative years and continues to be so. But something about that game, besides it being an open world concept, that I really, really like is that each of the places they go, especially like the temples and just the different landscape elements, they're all so distinct, right? Like, they all have different landscapes, different creatures living there, different color palettes, different elements. Like, there's a distinctiveness in them that, shapes your experience while you're there. And so I wanted to achieve that with each of my different hamlets. So when it comes to the world building of that, it just took a lot of time for me to decide, like, okay, and all hamlets are based on the different crafts that they do and the different omen that they are more gothic, that they are more drawn to. And so, yeah, a lot of like trial and error. The first hamlet is a hamlet of merchants. So I thought about like textures. What are they actually trading? What are their wares? What do they wear? And like all those different things. And the next one is scribes, and it's a cityscape and it's different. And then there's the mountainscape and a forestscape, and then like other there's just. I wanted to make it feel very lived in, and I wanted to make it feel very texturized and real. And the hard line to walk when it comes to world building is that I don't actually want people to think about it that much. You know what I mean? Like, it's that really where I want it to be distinctive in that you walk away being like, I felt I was there, but I'm not trying to take anyone out of the story necessarily. We are just walking. If you're moving through spaces, you are moving. You're not, I can't, your words are precious. So it takes a lot of time, especially in the first book. Like, I have finished draft 1 of the sequel. And
I didn't want to ask you because that felt like pressure, but wow, that's good.
No, I have turned it in, and I have gotten my first round of developmental edits, which comes from my editor, so we're working through it. Sure. It exists. But the first book is much harder because you're creating it all from scratch. Book 2, it's lived in. We already familiarized with it. I don't tend to shake it up too much when it comes to the world or the magic in my books. So honestly, it's easier to keep track of the world building in book 2, and therefore the characters and what they're doing in them becomes more of the plotting difficulty.
That makes so much sense because I felt, if you guys haven't picked up the audiobook of it, it is incredible.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if that's a shepherd can do it. Yes, it is very good. They're all very good. But
Your book, Rachel, the book review just doesn't go. I was listening to the audiobook of it, and I'm not a great auditory processor, and so I tend to not listen to fantasies on audiobooks because it's just like...
Well, it's hard, you can't go back.
Yes.
And so many things in fantasy are made up. Names, places, it's trickier.
And like you miss something and then you're like, I'm like, I'm not sure where I am. But the way that you just described it, like moving through the world, like I was really surprised because I picked it up because I really love the narrator.
Yes, she did a fantastic job.
She did an incredible job, and I like to dual read, so I've been reading both the physical and the audio
at the same time.
No.
I don't know.
No, people do that. No, I can read much faster than I can listen to an audio. Like some of you are like 2.75, and I can't even talk about that. I'm like lucky that I do too. So I can listen at the same time, but I love to like get in my car and get to still read a chapter, and then go into work. You know, like to still feel like I get to. I like to stay in your world as long as possible.
Thank you. That's a very high compliment.
It is. Listen, so good at good job. I feel like
One Dark Window.
okay.
I know where our ending point is. I know where they will be physically in the world and how it will be for the characters in the story. And
But some of the in between is where I'm like figuring out.
yeah, like we'll see. But yes, it is very essential for me to know the ending, because then I would panic otherwise. I would be unwell. So yeah.
Some people don't know. Matt Dino was just like, yeah, I have no idea how this series is ending, and he has like 3 more books, and I was like, not a clue, and he was like, no.
I would respect that. I would just have a mental breakdown, and I don't know. I couldn't live with that level of uncertainty.
It was really hard for me to not like just go into a personal conversation on stage where I was like, how are you doing that? This is crazy. Like, yeah,
I don't know if they're stressed, and I don't want them to be, but I kind of also want them to be to justify myself. But yeah. But I respect it. It's very cool.
Yeah. Okay. I had one more question for you that I was dying to ask, but we'll circle back to it. You all wrote some amazing questions, so
Thank you.
I want to get to them as many as we can. This one is starting off strong, I'll be honest. What is the one book
You want to feel sad? It was a huge inspiration for One Dark Window. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness is one of, I think, the most beautiful books I've read. It is a young adult, I believe. They made a film adaptation of it that was really beautiful as well. It's a story of a young boy who's grappling with his mother's terminal cancer diagnosis, and he kind of summons, or a monster comes to kind of help him through this time by telling him stories. It's a coming of age, it's a dealing with grief, it's a dealing with just like the world at large story, and it's just so beautiful. So I love that one. I'm happy to recommend that one.
that title and Therese and Fowler? It was that one. Also, great news. I remembered my question. And it was a good segue, so I'm sad I forgot about it, but that's fine. My question that I really wanted to ask you before we transitioned into full audience questions, just like what was your research process like? Because there is so much stuff about like nights, and it's also kind of like, it's like 2025, the year of the night. We have so many lady nights.
So many lady
It's
nights.
great.
I
I feel like you all got together as like a guild or something, and we're like, this is what we're gonna give to the people.
Well, the funny thing is, we didn't at all, and just in the past, like as they're all getting announced, like Tasha Suri, obviously Alex Harrow, Caitlin Starling, Tori Balvini. There's another one called Lady Nights coming out.
Yes.
Kaufman is one of the authors. Anyway, there's a lot. Some are sapphic, some otherwise. But we didn't, but we did all start talking about it afterwards. And I do think it has to do with us all watching the new film adaptation, the A24 version of The Green Knight, and all having like weird thoughts about it. And it was a very visually stunning movie. It was really weird and all the things I really like. I read, The Green Knight way back in probably like a medieval English course in college, and I've read a lot of texts like that. But what I really liked about The Green Knight film, personally, I don't know how these other authors exactly felt about it, but there's this scene where Gawain is, I can't remember the name, but it's one of his like quests upon the quest to go find the Green Knight, and he helps this woman like find her head in the lake or something. And there's this thing he says to her, and she's like asking him to do this for her, and he says, like, what will you give me for it? And I just thought it was so fascinating that they were going with that turn, because that is such an unknightly thing, unchivalric thing to say, especially to a woman. And it is very much a criticism of knighthood in general, how they're supposed to reject like mercenary endeavors. They're supposed to reject any sort of payment performance for like love of king, love of country, love of chivalry. And so for it to talk about kind of the pitfalls of knighthood, like show him as a coward, show him as someone who wants payment, was very, very interesting. So I think that's an inspiration, and also just because I think a lot of us are critiquing systems of power, the knighthood being one, in these stories as well. So the Green Knight was something that had us all come together. It's an inspiration for this one. Obviously, I said and my research process does include, like, I had to look up a lot about armor. I had to look up how armor is made into casts. There is a scene called Wax that I did a lot of research for, which I will, and this isn't spoiling anything, but, you know, armor wasn't like measured for individualized bodies for a long time, and then gradually, and with the more wealth, it was done. There wasn't such thing as tape measures or anything like that, but they would make body casts, but often they made them out of like a tacky gluey substance, and I'm in my research, I'm like, well, what's that made out of? It's made out of like animal dung. It's made out of like, or like boiled up animal something. I was like, this is so unsexy, so I had to.
Yeah, that would have made the scene different.
really been a foul smell on it. So, but wax is something that was occasionally used as well. So, just like tactile and like grounding facts about certain time periods is in my research, like environmental research. There's some Germanic names in here, and there's some Irish names in here as well. So when I look up like congruent landscapes, so I want to see like names, elements, nature, rock formations, trees, like grounding facts. And again, like if it's effective, no one even really clocks it, and that's okay. But it does go into me grounding myself as well. So that kind of research.
I would love to see your Google search history.
Oh gosh. It's not that bad.
I think it sounds fun.
There are some where I'm like, when one is wearing armor and one gets stabbed or one gets like hit, or when like I'm just like, it's just like I watch YouTube videos of people putting it on, taking it off, like things like that. There aren't like the Renaissance Fair is still a big thing, so I'm like,
yeah, you do have a lot of.
So just pretty technical stuff, I would say.
I know this question is actually later in here, and I think it'd be really fun to talk about it now. So, people are wondering what your naming conventions are, of like how you come up with your characters' names. Where do they come from? You just said like some of it matching the landscape where you are.
Yeah, we have a character named Maud Bauer. It's a very just like I tried to have older names. If I would say for One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns. Oh, they're named after trees. I was like, what are their names? That one was pretty easy to do. This one, I look up medieval family names in certain parts of the world. Bauer's a Germanic name. Castor's an Old English name. Roderick Mendacious. I made that one up to make him sound shady.
You mean it wasn't Gilmore Girls inspired?
No. Sybil is I think it would translates it to meaning like oracle. Like sometimes the names are a little like symbolic leaning. There's a little bit like a finger point of like just kind of their role in the story. I would say they're pretty conventional names in this one. I don't throw any random Y's in there like I did with the other ones. Just, it's fantasy. Again, the world is your oyster. But for this one, no. I think I look at old name lists, and a lot of old medieval names are just the surname is. There's not a lot of variants, but go from there, make it up from there, or add a little bit of my own spin to it. But yeah.
I'm excited to see like baby names in 3 years. Just see like how much of them are your fault.
I do not think that we're gonna
Roderick? I don't know. Roderick could make a comeback.
There are Rorys out there.
Yeah.
My neighbors just named their dog, not after my book, but they named their dog Rory. So I was like, yeah, I have a character. It was a weird conversation to have. Like, I have a character named Rory, and I was like, he's very sexy, and your dog is very cute. Anyway, but
Dog has like an earring. They get like a
I met at one of my signings, two women, it was in New York, two women said their daughters were both a Sybil. Like Sybil, you'll meet people with Sybil and Glory.
Yeah.
And Maud is an old name, but sometimes you see old names come right back, and Benji for Benedict.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you saw Benedict out in the world, you wouldn't feel weird about it. So,
No, I don't think so. I think they come back around. Yeah. What inspired you to write the Shepherd King duel?
Yeah, it's gotten a lot more normal. I have a son, he's 5, and so he has a proper school schedule, and I wrote One Dark Window before he was born. I edited it while I was wearing him. I wrote Two Twist Rounds at night, and those were all very difficult. And I am happy to have more of just like a proper day hour start. I like to work more in the morning than I would later in the afternoon or at night. So start around 8-ish when I'm done dropping him off at school. I come home and I have an ungodly amount of coffee. And I sit down somewhere cozy. I'm not someone, I just did an event yesterday with Abigail Owen, and she talked about how she like dictates to herself as she's walking. She has a walking treadmill. She has all these things. Like, I need the couch to have a groove for my body that I can lay myself down on. And just, I need to be very comfortable. I'm a sedentary toad. I just like I like being cozy, and I'm a homebody, so I'm not one to often go out and write in a cafe or anything like that. I do have a few friends that sometimes like my being crazy is like we'll FaceTime and we'll do like writing sprints together. It's just like me being crazy, but yeah, I try to get as much done while he's at school, so like 8 to 2 sort of things, and try not to write on the weekends, have some semblance of balance. However, inevitably deadlines creep up, and there will be times when I have to push past, work longer days over Christmas break, to finish the sequel. I got up at 3 a.m. for a couple weeks, which 10 out of 10 don't recommend.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. Sometimes like deadlines are a part of the job now, and so I have to manage my time well, but I also have to take care of myself. So all those things. I drink water, As the writing routine, I have to have like a big thing of water. I get so thirsty thinking.
You're just a sedentary toad. You need water. Crack me up. I'm just like picturing you now as like a toad in your couch with like a huge thing of water.
We read and watch Frog and Toad a lot in my house, and I especially like when Toad's like, it's not spring yet, and then he like pulls the blankies over his head for another 3 months or something. It's like, that me.
I didn't realize how popular Frog and Toad still was with the kids. It makes me really excited. Like, Olivia Blake was just like, there was a Frog and Toad coloring book for independent bookstore day, and she was like, I will need that. And I was like, we'll ship it to you. It's on its way.
I want one too.
There's none left. That's for you, Rachel.
I can say we have just finalized the title, so perhaps there will be a title drop in the nearest future. I can say, like my other stuff, because I do feel like it's one continuing story, we pick up very closely to where we left off. And I can say, I was asked at one of the events, someone was like, one word to describe the next book, and I said the word tournament. So,
Ooh.
that's all I say.
I have one more really important question before we leave today, and have you ever seen A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger?
It may or may not be the main inspiration for the sequel.
Okay.
I love that movie, and it does something that I really love in fantasy, which is hard to do well all the time, which is purposeful anachronisms. the first book that I think of to reference, like, that's a great example, is the book Long Live Evil that came out recently by Sarah Rees Brennan.
So
Oh, it's amazing. But when you start off and immediately they're in this, like, jousting arena playing Queen, and I don't know, man, that's my bread and butter. I love that. I listen to those sort of, like, anachronistic stuff too. It's like, I don't know, it's just so good. I love it. So yeah, I have seen it many times.
That truly was my first thought when you said Torment.
Yes,
oh, that's a great movie.
That's how I know I like found the right readership. So, like,
yeah,
that great. So yeah.
Wow, you just ended this on like the perfect note for me personally. Okay, first of all, how amazing is Rachel?
Hey chat. How's it going? Not my cute little dragon. I'm tired. Go to bed. So I'm gonna do a quick little video moment. Here's the pictures of me meeting the author. Any other pictures that need to be added will be added. I'm so tired. I did go to Half Price Books. I did not showcase said Half Price Books, but here are the books I bought. I don't know. Well, that wasn't like that before. That must have happened when it fell. Love that. What the river knows. Read that. Did not read the first two. Did not read this. Some girls do. And I finally got finished collecting the rest of this. Read this. I had the opportunity to see this author. I'm not sure if I'm taking it or not. The real reason I wanted to participate in the sale is so I could buy this at a cheaper price, because they fucking prices are $60. It's fucking crazy. Well, it's Sapphic. Then we got Chaos and Flame. I don't want to go to bed. So yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, I'm tired. I gotta go to bed. I only have 24 minutes left of storage for a video, and I need that amount to edit and upload my last book signing I went to. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I'm so tired, bro. And the food that we had afterwards wasn't even the greatest. And we waited so fucking long for it. See you in the next video, which should be in Liang. Is it? I don't know if it's Liang or Liang or Long. I don't know. But I'll see you in that next video. So bye bye.